Thank you, Wout. Welcome, everyone. My name is Wim van Kouwenbergen. I'm happy to be your host at this BEMAS webinar. Um, we are going to talk today about climate change improvements through asset management and maintenance. And we have as a guest, our guest speaker, Mr. Wout Thews. Welcome, Wout.
Thank you.
How are you, Wout?
Very well, thank you so much.
Yes, Wout. We have a record number of registrations today. I don't know if everyone is going to watch live, but we have more than 130 registrations. So somehow we struck an idea or a concept that is it's quite actually, it's a quite important theme for today. And apparently a lot of companies are interested in this topic. So why is that, Wout? How are you motivated to work on this topic?
Well, we have seen in the activities of the asset managers and maintenance managers more and more getting influenced by health, safety, environment aspects, such as the last years, for instance, COVID and certainly climate. This on the short, mid, and long term. Besides that, there are agreements made on climate change. For instance, on the EU, you have the Green Deal, as you know. So companies have to work with this, comply with this. And so that means that more or less the risks are increasing. Now, how do we transfer this to asset management and maintenance? I give you an example. EU is talking about circular economy. How are we going to transfer that, and what does it mean, circular maintaining? Wider on, we see also the need of asset managers and maintenance managers that they are asking for help. I will have a slide later on. You can see that there. And of course, the climate situation of today.
Yeah, okay. So before we go any further, Wout, I just wanted to take the opportunity to also thank our corporate sponsors, Equans, Erics, iCare, Innovation, and PDM, who are supporting us and which are, in fact, enabling this type of webinars. We have done hundreds in recent years, so we are very happy for their support. And maybe also for the Belgian companies that are looking. So we are organizing a national Belgian contest in 2022 called Technical Team of the Year. So we're still looking for candidates, people that are interested. They can go on the website bemas.org. And of course, we're also organizing an international conference this year called Asset Performance 4.0. It's all about digitalization and maintenance and asset management. And so it will be a complete virtual conference organized by the end of October. So we are currently have already the call for speakers that is open. So people watching this webinar and say, look, we have also made the journey in digitization. They can submit a proposal to come to speak, in fact, to speak online at assetperformance.eu. Maybe just in order to kick off, what I don't know and how far all the audience, all the people in the audience know you. So maybe you can give also a small introduction about yourself.
Well, to be honest, Wim, and you know me a very long time, I'm really a maintenance and asset manager. I worked 50 years in that. So I'm very active in this from the floor till top management. I am still a board member of BEMAS since 20 years or something like that. I was rewarded by BEMAS for the Maintenance Manager of the Year. For BEMAS, I got the incentive award. And that is also very important, I think. With our last company, we won the Duty of Care Award on health, safety, environment projects in 2016 and 2018 regarding projects on health, safety, and environment things. Besides that, I am GA member of the BEMAS. BEMAS is in the umbrella of the European Federation of National Maintenance Societies, and I represent there also BEMAS, and also in the GFAM, the Global Forum for Maintenance and Asset Management. I am representing the EFNMS. Further on, I'm chairman of the EFNMS Asset Management Committee and project leader of this project.
Okay, very nice. So, well, I think it's time to start, Wout. So I will give you the presenter role so you can switch slides. And okay, let's go ahead with your presentation, Climate Change Improvements by Asset Management and Maintenance.
Thanks, Wim. Well, first of all, I would like to say it's an honor to be here. Welcome, everybody. I've seen that we have an enormous amount of nations here. So welcome, good day, good morning for the US, good evening for Japan. Thank you for all for being in this webinar. This will be the first webinar in a series because the project is quite big. So we will come back to you. I would like to say special welcome to the group of ACPS. It's a very terrific team of people. So let's start climate change improvement by assessment. So I piloted the project at BEMAS, and then I went over to the European Federation to launch it there also. And finally, in the Global Forum. In this way, we have a global approach on this project. So let me go to the next slide. And it works. So I have a small question here for you. Is there any attention of climate change in your plant? So please do me a favor and start entering the poll. There he is. I hope that you see it. Fantastic. Fantastic. I will show you the results. So it's exactly the same as we have seen in our poll, but I will come back to that a little bit later. Now, first of all, I have to throw this away. Instruction for Wim, so I have to do it carefully. Correct, Wim? So climate change, we talk about, of course, global warming, air and water pollution. Don't make any mistakes. It's far farther than you think. Resources, waste and water. All those aspects are treated in this webinar. So let me go to the next slide. And here you see some facts about climate change. I got them from the World in Data. It's a very nice site on the US. So they say that there are every year 5 million dead people due to air pollution. The 10 biggest climate disasters were costing 150 billion euros. In Argentina, a few weeks ago, it was 45 degrees centigrade. Can you imagine? 150 tons of plastics are floating into the ocean, and every year 5 to 10 million are entering that also. And of course, we have the local disasters where asset management and maintenance is really in the picture. I give you two examples. First of all, there's a steel company in the northern part of the Netherlands where people were surrounding the neighbors in 30K around the plant, have a 50% higher opportunity to get cancer due to emission. Now, last week there was in the newspaper some results from external company who measured the pollution really on the floor, on the soil. And it went from 5 to 1,000 times higher. So last week was in the newspaper that it's now a criminal investigation against the leaders of the plant. And one of the aspects that the leaders are mentioning now is, Well, it's a problem of our contractors, whatever it is. And we have some problems with asset management and maintenance. Ring the bell. There's a second example in the US where last year 100,000 liters of oil was leaking into the sea. It was an energy company somewhere in the neighborhood of California, I think. And this leakage did last at about 13 hours. And there were 8 alarms going on. And one of the leaders of the company says, well, we have a backlog in training of asset management and maintenance. Ring the bell. So asset management and maintenance will be more and more influenced by these kind of aspects. Let me go to the next slide. So here I come back to the interest. We had a BEMAS questionnaire some months ago, sorry. Time is going quickly, of course. And you see that 65% of asset managers says, hey, sustainability is important in our company. I think I did a LinkedIn poll on 3 asset management groups the last weeks, and 40% says, well, we are busy with that, and 60% says, well, we start with that, and yes, it is important, and we have to start. So you see that people are more and more getting interested in this kind of aspect. What is important here also is that, again, I have the information from worldfavor.com. 73% of the investors looks to the environmental social governance performance before investing into the company. So even investors are today very interested if you are in line with climate change regulations and sustainability activities. Let me go to the next question. Next slide. So drivers to contribute here are, of course, then the climate change is accelerating. I just told you. There were decisions in Rome, Kyoto, Paris, and lately Glasgow. You have the EU Green Deal. And believe it or not, one day it comes to your table. Besides that, there is the moral and social responsibility and care for your own team, people, neighborhood, environment, and future. Because we all want to pass this world to our children, of course. Fourth item is the Sustainable Development Goals from the UN. I will show you later on. And finally, we want to minimize the risks that are popping up for our companies. So here's my next questions. Are you aware of SDG? And I have to start this again. I'm blocking this one. And yes, there we go. So I give you some time to thank you. So you see here that 43% says no, 36% says yes. Okay, let's go on with the next slide. I will explain it to you. So the UN, as United Nations, 200 countries, has agreed on to achieve 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And they are going from no poverty, zero hunger, till partnerships for the goals, life on land, life beneath sea, etc., etc. Now, I can imagine that you say, hey, what has to do with maintenance and asset management? But in the next slide, I selected 7 of those SDGs, and they are clean water and sanitation. We can influence that. Affordable and clean energy also. Decent work and economic growth. Industry innovation and infrastructure. Sustainable cities and communities, and responsible consumption and production, and finally, climate actions. So in those 7 SDGs, asset management and contributors can certainly contribute, and later on I will give you some examples of this. But I can imagine that you say, well, in which fields can we then contribute? Well, we can contribute on the sustainable level development. We can minimize the pollution. In any case, bring it into the local regulations, energy, waste, and water. And this in each phase of the life cycle of the asset. Now, it's very important that, for instance, if you see that the 80%, so everything is in the life cycle phase deducted. I will show you later. Now, what can be the risk for the company? Is there a risk for a company? And to be honest, there are 2 kinds of risks. First of all, you can be hurt with your plant by an extreme weather event, and then you have problems perhaps with transportation, supply chain, damage of the assets by floating, and perhaps insurance liabilities. Or, second one, you can have longer term shift in climate patterns, and there you can have a problem with rising temperature and water levels, limitations to availability for labor and resources. The second group of risks are if you are a contributor to climate change. And there we have the risk of the policy and the legal risks. Think about the steel company, where they have now a criminal investigation on a personal matter. So they are looking really to the person and said, hey, you seem to don't care about law and regulation, right? Secondly, technology risks, cost to meet law and regulation. Perhaps you are forced to install a new technology. There is perhaps a market risk for resources, commodities, and products, a force to supply interruptions, or even blocked credit rating and publications. And finally, you can have a reputation risks because perhaps your brand is having some damage by not delivering the parts at the moment that you had to do that. So all reasonable risks that can be avoided. So now we go to the third poll question. In your plant, are there any sustainable activities? Let me start it up. 3 answers I see. So I have to quit one, says Wim. And I do exactly what Wim is saying, always. There we go. Yes, thank you. Partly, that's good. That's good. That's good. So yes, partly, that's good. I like that. Well, I have been looking into the EU Green Deal, and I found a sentence which was so big that he could not go on 1 slide, even on 2 slides. And after I have been reading this thing for 3 times, I said to myself, throw it away, because this is politicians I just explained you it quite simple. Sustainability is based on 3 pillars. First of all, the social responsibility. Secondly, economic growth. We want to do better and better and better. And finally, of course, the environmental protection. And exactly where those 3 are overlapping, there you have, let's say, the most, by far the most good position to be very active on sustainability. Now, the EU is talking about circular economy. And to be honest, let me first explain to you what is linear economy, the economy that we have today. We all know that, of course, you buy in raw materials, you manufacture those, they are getting used, hopefully, and finally they go into the waste. Now, if we keep on doing this into 2050, then we need 3 times more resources than the world can offer to us. For this reason, EU Green Deal says we have to get away from this economy. By the way, an average EU citizen uses 14 tons of resources per year and creates 5 tons of waste per year. So you can imagine that this linear economy is integrated in all the society. Now here you see the circular economy, what the EU is aiming for. So you fill in the circle with resources, you manufacture, you use, and then it comes, you reuse. What we miss here, of course, is the fact that we don't see waste anymore, because all the waste gets back into the reused recycle stream of products, materials, parts, and get back into the circle again. In this way, waste should be banned. Now, if you talk about circular economy, you talk of course about extending life cycles, and there, of course, maintenance and extending life cycles is in fact always been there. We always, as a maintenance manager, myself as a manager, I try to extend the life cycle as far as possible. And in fact, is that what they are aiming for here also. So let me go to the next poll. Start a poll. 3 questions. That's good. There we go. Is circular maintenance a topic in your plant? Let me see that inderdaad we have the results that we were expecting. So that's good. Thank you. See, 51% says partly. That's great. But how are we going to transfer this in circular maintaining? Because at the end of the day, we need to maintain. We have a breakdown and we have to do some action. So let's start here at the breakdown. We don't change our attitude. We repair immediately, of course. But we are stopping with the principle of take the things out and throw them away. I give you an example. We all know the bearings of SKF, for instance. And I heard from SKF, from one of the leaders, that 67% of all bearings that are thrown away today are not end of life. No, they are thrown away because it costs too much time to clean them, or the gearbox is open and we change all bearings. So there are a number of reasons why we do that. But this company has invested a lot in sustainability. I'm very proud of those guys because they're doing very well. They help minimizing friction, and in this way also reducing the CO2, of course, because you have less energy to make this thing turning. But it's one of the examples. So instead of throw it away, we are going to think, we are starting a think process how to increase sustainability. And if you talk about life extensions, it demands, of course, service and maintaining. A nice example here is, I think, Miele. They are super good in service and maintaining because they are, let's say, focused on life extension. And that's really a good attitude. Now, the second phase is how to recover, refurbish, remanufacturing. And there you see a lot of studies popping up. I've seen a 9R method, like reduce, rethink, refurbish, restudy, redesign, remanufacture, reuse, recover, etc., all with, are we doing something wrong? Why this element is end of life? If we don't get it arranged, finally, it goes to the recycle box and it gets back into the process, added with some resources if needed, exactly as the same as there is in the circular economy. In the center here, you see the parts of stock where we have, and that's perhaps a good tip, try to have a lot of common parts there, even already at development of a new product asset, be in line with those. What is further important here is that in the past we all, and I did the same for the plants where I was active in, all tools we bought. But the idea of today is that we want to increase the availability, but also the usage of all tools, and it's better to be a loaner than an owner, to have more usage of equipment what is in your plant. Okay, let me go to the next one. So here, this is a very important slide. So here you see what can be done in each asset life cycle stage, whatever it is. And what we want to achieve is a minimal pollution, energy, minimal water reduction, pollution, less footprint, and more to waste and early warning and being controllable. And then you see in the creating phase a lot of aspects what could be used at the moment that you are creating a machine. Think about maintainability. I have a nice example here with me. It's a shock absorber, and you can see, I hope that you can see it, but by some simple actions you can remove the plunger and the items to replace them. And in fact, that's what we do. That's what we're trying to aim for, that it is possible to take it out of each other. But also that we can redefine remanufacturing, that we are reusing resources. It can be materials, parts, or even products. That we install smart tools, early warning systems, the lessons learned, of course, the common parts, what I just explained, and of course the local buy, because that is minimizing again and again the supply cost to your plant. Just a moment. I go down, I go up to the next phase, which is the build phase. And here you see that we are trying to reduce and prevent hazardous resources. And a very good example is, I think, the work that Osage did with projects on dangerous substances. So they are helping us a lot in this case. Reusable resources that at the moment you build it, that you think, hey, can we make it reusable? Reduce packaging. No over installing. I made this failure myself again and again. Well, we are going to extend next year anyway, so why not we put a higher or a bigger compressor now? At the end, you have perhaps 25-30% higher capacity running all day long for nothing. Focus to added value. I give you an example. If you think about painting your asset or your product, then you can say, well, a paint is nice, it looks professional, it looks great, it gives some extraction. But for me, as a technician, this looks far better for me. It's stronger, pure material, no paint on it. So, but if you do this, then there is no paint needed, there is no process needed, the customer doesn't need to pay for it, and you have no emission of painting or all kind of gases. Recyclability, repairability, very important. Did I do that again? Okay. And then monitor measure tools are embedded. Then we go to the use phase. So there we have to go to circular maintaining. We just discussed this. Study about lifetime extension. How can we extend more and more the time? And smart using recovering energy and water. Minimize resources, water waste. Think about maintenance actions. A lot of investigations on how the situation is in the assets are destructive. And we have a company, for instance, SDT, and they have very good ultrasound tools that it is non-destructive. It's very important to make as less damage as possible for your investigation. Minimize fossils and packaging. Well, you could think about spray, right? Just a spray. And, well, you see that this kind of spray with no tube on it, it has about the opportunity of 95% of this spray is going not to the spot where it should be. So this helps, this pin here, I hope that you see it. This helps, of course, you can more direct it to, but some kind of oil which you can refill. Why use spray? And then finally, motivator of the local supply and contractors. Say what you want and not want. I give you here the example of the steel company in the Netherlands, where the contractor says, well, we blow the air out and we'll see what's going to happen there. Then at the end of the end life cycle phase, learn about the assets, life study extension, be aware of what went wrong and why, and did we have the wrong maintenance procedures, or how can we redecide about maintaining activities. And then finally, of course, recycle, recover, remanufacturing materials, parts, and products. So I hope that you can download the presentation anyway, so I hope that you will find your way. If not, you can always contact me. Okay, then we go over to energy. Well, for energy, we as a manager, what can we do? Well, we can try to reduce the amount. Let me see the time because I got only 45 minutes from it. Reduce the amount, smart using, no over installing. I discussed this already with you. Gaining energy from the process and product. Think about heat exchangers, what is very popular today. Don't blow the warm air out of your window, but use the heat to create electricity. And then finally, of course, renewable energy, be a motivator for that, inspirator for supply chain contractors, and create that in the new design. Okay, we have here a next question into the poll. It's about water. Is there any kind of water management activity in your plant? Please help me with this poll. Wait a few moments. By the way, I got an SMS from my daughter. She says rocket, whatever it means. Okay. Give you, and I'm very happy with that. 36%, 34% say 70% says yes, partly. So that's very good because water is a very important issue in our world today. Really, in the worldwide, 1 of the 3 people do not have access to safe drinking water. Can you imagine? 2 out of 5 people do not have a basic hand washing facility. Think about COVID. Think about the instructions from the governments. Wash your hands with no water or what? So there was a recent study, just think about it. There was a recent study in the Netherlands, and they took water from thousands of rivers, and only 16% had a reasonable quality of water. 16%. And Netherlands is in Europe somewhere lying near to the sea, so the water from Germany and Austria is coming, so we have a lot of floating there, but it stays there. And still, there is a company in the Netherlands on energy, and they are putting 9 million liters of wastewater, polluted, into the ground every day with permission. So, okay. So water is very important. By the way, I have been in contact with the International Water Association. They are doing really good work. Thank you very much, guys. So water, what can we do? Well, we can, of course, minimize usage leaks. We can collect rainwater. You see on the picture here, it's a household in South Africa. In South Africa, it's normal that you gain your water from the roof and you use the water for any kind of, if it's not drinking water, right? So to clean your car or spread the grass or whatever. Wastewater, minimize pollution, filtering and reusage. Pavement, as small as possible, because we have to be sure that the water gets into the soil and that it's not transported away every time, because then the soil gets drier and drier and drier. We have also something to do with public health, of course, for our people, and we have to prevent that our people get not some kind of waterborne infections and diseases. So we have to do inspections regularly. We have to do sanitation activities, inspections, and monitor systems. Again, a poll. Man, who has created all those polls? I think I did it myself. Anyway, I would like to know your action there as well. Thank you. Is waste management in your plant active? Wow, Very active. That's good. I like that. Very good. I will close it down. Boom. No. There we go. 35% says we are 61%. Good, good, very good. Waste. Well, of course, recycle, separate collection. By the way, all aspects from the Green Deal. So it's not an advice. You have to do this in 2030, right? Recycle, separate collection, prevent and reduce packaging. Again, packaging. Don't make any mistakes. The plastics that you use for packaging, that's really amazing. So big. Right. Leaking, of course, but that's our main activity, should say. Think about valves, compressed air insulation. Compressed air insulation, I tell you something. I've been 50 years in maintenance. I know one thing for sure. Every compressor installation leaks about 30% of its total capacity because you cannot control it. All those connections are leaking all a bit. So think about before you install some kind of this installation. Right. Saying that, I give you some simple activities, what can be simple achieved by simple things. You can think about ventilation, reusing filtered air. So don't extract all the polluted air out of your plant, filter it and throw it outside. No, use the heat to recover or to heat up your plant. Prevent overinstallation. I told you already about that. Renewable energy system. Ventilated facade. So there are facades who are very professional, and you can think about isolation in the winter and preventing the heat in the summer. Of course, the light colored inside ceiling, walls, etc. It's an open door. Rewriting projects, think about LED solutions. Smart measuring and controlling energy, ventilation, pollution system. Recovering energy system. The choice of your energy system. Think about what I just told you about compressed air. Collecting rainwater, we discussed that. Reusing pavement materials. Don't throw it away, but reuse it. Housekeeping. Have a certain kind of discipline. No, we put the waste there and we have that there, and so everything is right. Leakage bins for all kinds of oils and water, what can leaking into the concrete, and minimize packaging and plastics. Oh, I did something wrong. I don't know what, but I have to get back. What I did wrong, I don't know. Anyway, here you see on asset level, very important is there that you strive to have common parts in your parts stock. Hydraulic oil filtering instead of replacing, so that you, let's say, not at the end of the year says, well, the oil is dirty, we throw it away, we throw new oil, because then we have the machines up running again. But filter the oil throughout the year, and you have let's say, a constant quality of your oil, and you don't have waste oil. Minimize using sprays. Install only added value contributors. Think about the paint example. Design for maintainability, very important. Energy reduction from process. Think about change a brake into a dynamo. I have myself a electric car, and this thing is when I'm braking, it's loading the battery. So that's very nice. Switch off if that's not used. For big users or energy users, use frequency directed motors. As you perhaps know, those kind of motors they are, let's say, delivering their energy in line with what is needed. So they don't go for 100% if you only need 60%. An asset management and maintenance app can help you a lot, even in quick responding if something goes wrong with pollution or whatever. Refilling bins instead of buying new cans. Filter water and use. Greasing mostly overdone. Bring it back to normal quantity. Local buy and be a motivator in your own team. I have to get back here. What is it? Now, I can imagine that you say, hey, perhaps this will cost you some money, or we are looking for adding value. Well, I give you a few examples. Upgrading a energy system or use less water and energy is good for the environment and brings up cost savings. Quite simple for me, I think. Offering eco-designed products and packaging, user not more than necessary, bring less use of resources, reduce shipping cost in supply chain, brings money. Attention to people for the quality of life at work. It's one of the SDGs, as you have perhaps remember. This will bring stronger overall performance. Products are acceptable for all people, brings in growing markets in the poor regions, but opportunities. Monitoring working conditions and subcontracts are minimizing risk that could damage people, environment, and company's image. Buying products, services, contractors local leads to transport reduction. So you see, it brings adding value. This is one of my last slides. I have some tips for you. First of all, I should say, keep an updated register of all realized improvements that you have been made so far. Just in case, you never know. But keep somewhere a list of what you're doing and that you care. I would like to bring it to your attention that the Technical University of Delft has an excellent book, Products That Last. A lot of very nice information. And to be honest, you can learn a lot of that. There is the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and what's important there is that they have a very nice butterfly approach thing, and you can learn a lot about it. You can also join us. We have a special group on LinkedIn, and even you can be one of our team members if you want so. I have created 6 podcasts so far and a lot of, let me put it in this way, body of knowledge on this item. So this can be shared also. So please contribute by sharing to the team. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Wout, for sharing your insights with us. Enjoy the presentation. So I see that you have a final poll. You need to launch this poll also, if you would like to.
Okay, yes, that's a good idea. Yeah. So I would like to know, just, I'm not a climate activist or scientist. I'm just a maintenance manager. I want to know if this was helpful for the people. So I will start this right away. 4 questions, says Wim. So I have to do exactly what he's saying because he's very.
Okay, so we can answer. And so while people are answering, I would say, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to type them into the chat. But maybe to kick off the questions, Wout. In fact, if you look a little bit on the practices that you have shared with us, it seems like that a lot of this we have been doing already in maintenance and asset management. Is that correct?
Well, Wim, that's in fact very correct. Because let's be honest, maintenance and sustainability is in fact the same. We are striving so many years already to have this asset ongoing, that it's in our bones. But today there is regulation, there is another, let's say, drive to concentrate this more and more, and that's the main reason of the project.
Yeah. So in fact, yeah, sustainability is taking care of things, and in fact with maintenance we have been doing that. So we shouldn't be afraid of the additional attention that sustainability and the climate goals are getting for the moment. We
Well,
shouldn't be afraid of this
well,
as the
Wim,
maintenance department, or do we?
well, Wim, I have to be honest in this. During my career, I had once a lawyer in our plant, and we had an accident, a terrible accident. And he said to me, he said, "Show me what you have been doing to prevent this accident." And we said, "Well, we have preventive maintenance and we have this and that and here and there." He says, "No, I want to see activities." So it's very important. One of my last tips was also register what you are doing, because at the end of the day, when there is a problem in pollution, regulation, they come back to maintenance and they say, "Didn't you care? What is the problem? Where were you?" And at that moment, you have to show what you got, what you did. So in the past, it was in fact in our, let's say, in our profession built in, maintaining, extending life cycle. But today it's a commitment.
Yeah, and it's a necessary commitment if you put it like
Yeah.
this. So
It's a necessary commitment. It's very good said. Yeah.
yes, okay. So there will be more and more pressure in order to be able to demonstrate that as a factory, as an asset owner, you're doing your utmost best in order to comply. So that is a lesson. And then, of course, so as a maintenance and asset manager, you need to make sure that in fact your reporting is done in a correct way.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and of course, the compliance is one thing on which you can report, but in fact, if you think a little bit further about, in a future, it might also be interesting as a maintenance department, as an asset management department, that you also be able to report on how much you have contributed in preserving materials, in avoiding emissions, etc.
Yeah, or perhaps reducing waste or reducing water or whatever.
Yeah, so all those things need to be recorded and need to be accounted for.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And so, how could the maintenance department start on working on this future, in your opinion?
Well, it's quite simple. Just start. Because you can say, well, we need a training and we need, use your common sense and say, hey, do we have here some kind of light, smart controlling? Do we have the compressor? Is that leaking? Have we got the leaking process in each other? Hey, the oil on the floor. In fact, Wim, we were doing this all the time. And I don't say that we have to stop our activities. I only say that we have to be clever in introducing new items. I give you an example again of the bearing, right? 67% is not end of life. I don't know what's the things cost, but 15 euro, 20 euro, and we throw it away. While this company invests a lot every year in sustainability. Doesn't so we have to get away from take it, replace it, but take it, look at it, think about it, how we can reuse it, and hey, we put it in the spare parts shop and we can use it again. It's another attitude.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the first step is being aware of how urgent this is.
Yeah.
And yeah, start thinking about, okay, how can we use all this
Yeah.
this huge knowledge that
Yeah.
is being created also on sustainability. How can we use this to the advantage of our company, the advantage of our maintenance and asset management department? So thank you very much, Wout, for sharing all your thoughts. Maybe we can stop with one more thing, and that's maybe showing the results of the poll. If it's okay, you can do so.
I have to.
Yes, and there it is. So I see that a lot of people, more than 50%, more than 50% were delighted by your presentation. So
That's
they were
good.
inspired, and that's, I think, the most important thing.
I'm
Wout,
sorry,
it
I'm
was
disappointing a few guys, but I'm sorry about that.
yeah, okay. Maybe we can contact them later and ask
Yeah.
how we can even go further. And of course, they have your podcast where you can find more information, and also
Yes.
on future webinars. For everybody watching, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it, and let's meet again. See you next time. Bye.
Bye bye.